What's going on, everybody? This is ODC, that's me, and I'm back with another action figure review. This is my review of the DC Collectibles Series 2 Batman Arkham Origins Deathstroke figure. A really great figure. Such a big step up from the Mattel version, which is basically a shorter, less articulated version of this Deathstroke. This is much better, and I'm glad we finally got this. And yeah, so there you go. Those are just my quick little thoughts. Not to say that this is an absolutely perfect figure, because the range of motion could be much better with this figure. But still, overall, I think the sculpting, the attention to detail with this figure, and the accessories also make much more sense than the Mattel version. I'm just messing around with some lighting here. I keep trying to get better light. I have to get better lighting. I don't know why I say that every video. I say that, but I tend to not. I don't know. I just. But there we go. Just kind of getting in some weird dynamic pose that makes probably no sense, but there you go. There's the stroke of death. But here he is. He does. I'm not going to bother with the packaging. I'm just going to start this off with. He comes with his staff here. We pretty much all know the Arkham Origins clamshell packaging by now. Moving my camera around, sorry, or my lighting around. It is painted on both ends here, and it is painted in the middle, like a lighter gray, and then a darker gray on the sides there. Looks pretty cool. Nicely done. He holds it well in his left hand here. You can't get him to hold it in both hands. I have done that, but naturally he wants to hold it in his left hand. Same thing goes for the sword. He naturally wants to hold it in his left hand. Be forewarned, I have heard a couple people having problems getting this sword back in the sheath properly, and I've also seen some handles popping off. So nothing a little glue can't fix, but they do tend to, as you can see, mine's bending a little bit there. Just a little bit. So there you go. But they just can't get this sword right, though. It kind of reminds me of those old cocktail swords that you would get for like with cherries. You'd stab a cherry and then put it in your drink. They kind of look like a swashbuckler, I don't know, buccaneer sword, like a pirate sword. But that's what this kind of reminds me of, because it's pretty skinny. But as far as the paint goes, it's like a lighter gunmetal gray, and just a black handle. So, I mean, it does fit in his sheath for me fine, as you can see. But I have seen people where it'll only go about that far. So, thank you, Strident, for pointing that out. His gun is much better than the Mattel version in every way. This looks more like a Desert Eagle to me, even as a hole there for the gun hole. Come on, just work with me. Work with me, camera. Work with me. Nice gunmetal color for this Desert Eagle, which I'll just call it that. And it's got a nice black grip handle, and you can see the clip on the bottom. Pretty nice. And it does fit into this nicely done, military accurate clip holster. If you're not sure where the clip holster is, you can Google it. There's a little clip right there that they have actually sculpted. When you put the gun inside the holster, it just goes snap, and it won't move anywhere. You could turn it upside down, it won't move anywhere. And actually, you can turn this figure upside down, and the gun won't go anywhere either. The holster is actually a rubbery material, and it applies well with the plastic, so it kind of grips it very nicely. But it is very nicely sculpted, and it is military accurate. What else here? And that's all of his accessories, is the gun, the sword, and the staff, which he does use actually in the boss battle and throughout, well, I shouldn't say throughout the game, but he does use it in the boss battle. As far as his range of motion, it could be better, I'll be honest with you. It really could be better. I get really worried with these DC Collectibles figures when they have certain types of articulation that are really overly stiff, and this guy's a little bit too stiff for my liking to be really pushing the limits of his joints, because I already had Firefly and the leg snapped off, and I don't want to push it too much because I don't feel like having to wait for another figure and going through all that. But they did send me a new Firefly, and that review will be up soon, but I digress. His range of motion could be better, because if he didn't have all of this armor, which I don't know. To me, I'm just going to touch on this really quick. For Deathstroke to have all this armor on doesn't really make much sense for the character, to be honest with you. If you look at his original version, which I'll bring in, is the DC Universe Classics. This is Deathstroke's original look. It comes off more as like Captain America, and that's really what Deathstroke is to me. He's an evil Captain America. A lot of people might say, well, no, he's more like Slade, or he's more like a Wade Wilson, Deadpool. And yeah, he has similarities to Deadpool, and they share the same last name. But there's obviously both of them have different creators, and they're not similar at all when it comes to their background, really. Their personality at all, and I don't know, I see more of a Captain America in Slade Wilson than I really do a Deadpool. So especially, they both have a healing factor. Now Deathstroke does have a much better healing factor than Captain America does, but Captain America does have a slight healing factor, slightly. But I digress off that. That's the point I just wanted to make, is that he wouldn't really need all of this armor if he has a healing factor. It just doesn't really make sense to me. And him being a military, having a military background, and I get the design what they're trying to go for. It's the influx of the Injustice look. If you're not familiar with that, you can just Google Deathstroke Injustice, and you'll see the similarities, because Injustice, the video game, did come out before Arkham Origins. You can definitely tell that there was some sort of influence from that suit to this suit, because he's wearing a lot of armor. And I don't know. I prefer his original look over this. That's just me, though. So with that being said, getting back to the figure at hand, I just wanted to touch on that subject really quick. Not to say that this isn't a great design and a nice figure at that. As you can see, they did a really great job with putting some like shading, or some lines here, some silver lines, just showing that he's got some battle damage. He's been through some battles in the past, and you can see it's all over his body here, and that's what these little silver markings are throughout his whole body. You can really tell that he's been through some battles in the past, some wars with other superheroes or other targets. You can even see on his knee pad here that he's got some bullet holes, or some bullet ricochets. It's nice, but I don't know. The Deathstroke I know isn't that clumsy to be having markings everywhere. I don't know. I think they went a little overboard with the markings, because they're kind of everywhere. They're all over his arm here, and they're all over everywhere. But still, like I said, I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy, because I'm no Nancy. But he does look good still. There's a lot of great detail going on throughout here. It looks like those look like kind of like shotgun shells there, but they could be rifle rounds attached to his arm. And he's got a belt going across his chest, which you can call a bandolier if you want to. He also has a separate rubberized piece which is connected to the holster holding his sheath here. But mine did pop off, so just be careful. It's not a big deal. Right here, it's supposed to be connected right there. Excuse me. But nothing a little glue can't fix. So that's not a big deal. This is a separate rubberized piece here for his utility belt. And he does have some sculpted grenades on there, which look nice. Also, as far as his articulation goes, I think it's much better. Some might, you know, disagree. Now, my Deathstroke is completely frozen in his ab crunch, and I don't want to push it because, like I said before, I've had Firefly's leg fall off on me or snap off on me already. So it is there. He does have an ab crunch, so yours might be a lot better than mine. You guys probably have a little bit better luck than I do. But as far as his shoulders, they don't want to really go past this, which is unfortunate. Right about here, maybe mine is just frozen. This side doesn't even want to move really, but that's unfortunate. He does have a bicep swivel, a single bend at the elbow. He does have a wrist swivel and a wrist hinge going in and out. He does have a nice waist swivel, and he does have T-jointed hips which go forward and back nicely. He does have an upper thigh swivel. As far as his splits go, I would be really careful popping these legs because they might have a clear plastic bar going in between there. Excuse me. Pardon me. But just be careful because I do know DC Collectibles likes to use clear plastic here, and that shit will snap right off. There's an upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees, which is really cool. He does have an ankle hinge and an ankle pivot similar to Marvel Legends. So there you go. So as far as articulation goes, he's pretty well done. You can get him into some nice dynamic poses if you want, some good battle poses. If you got you know, a couple figure stands, you could really get him into like I don't know, maybe a diving attack or something. I don't know, any way you want. You can pose this guy fairly easily. His arms do rotate and kind of hindered here. I didn't really touch on that, I apologize, but it can do a full 360 if you want it to. As far as, yeah, so there you go on that. Like I said, his detail is second to none. Going through his whole body here, I'm just going to try and give you a full shot here. He does have one peg hole at the bottom of his feet, and they are sculpted on the bottom. But it does look really, really great. I'm just going to try and get in here, show you everything. Really great. I just love that that wear on the helmet. So cool, so nice, love it. But as far as his counterpart goes, here's his counterpart, the Mattel version. As you can see, there's a lot more going on with this, and that's what you would expect from DC Collectibles. If you're comparing this to this, I wouldn't even spend any money on this. I would go with just the DC Collectibles version. He's a little bit taller. He might be a little bit out of scale, but this is the much better version with much better range of motion. He's got better ankle articulation, and I just think his accessories are much better than these accessories on this guy. And I'll bring in the DC Universe Classics Deathstroke. This is my favorite look for Deathstroke right here. This is obviously more of an updated, modern look for Deathstroke, but still my favorite. Still one of my favorite figures, this Deathstroke. So, with that being said, that's pretty much it. I don't have much else to say other than stop wasting time and go out and get this guy. He looks really great, especially when you can display him with the rest of your Arkham collection, with your Arkham City figures, Arkham Origin figures, or Arkham Asylum figures. So definitely go check this guy out. You can get him for a reasonable price. I actually got him off a Monk Time, a really great store. So definitely check him out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. 2 thumbs up on this guy. Definitely recommend getting him. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the flip side.